just for you.
All right, so if you could please help me welcome Corey to the stage.
Hello, hello, welcome to the Big Easy. How y'all feeling? Good. Okay, these lights are bright. I can see one person. All right, two things about that video. Number one, I'm not with that lady anymore, okay? All right, it's over. She's a great lady, great lady, great lady. And, and that guy that you heard singing at the very end, he was like, "Be my girl." Hey, did anybody recognize him? Okay, that guy was on the streets of New Orleans homeless. And he, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, joined up with these other homeless guys around the country because a guy heard him and loved his voice, a producer. And they made a group called Artists for Change. Get it? Artists for Change. They're homeless. But anyway, they now tour the world. They've made 3 CDs. This guy's worth about $950,000 now. All right? From homeless to being having a net worth of $950, almost $1 million. They interview him all the time. But if you go to the French Quarter, he is still on that corner when he's not traveling. And you can hear him. And as a matter of fact, they were down there last night, and they were like, "The guy from the video, we see him, but he looks a lot cleaner." I'm like, yes, he does. A lot cleaner, okay? Now, that being said, welcome. Just to give you guys some backdrop on this hotel. Isn't it nice? Super nice, huh? Super nice. For the people that work here, let's give it a round of applause for the people that work at the Hyatt. Because they opened this hotel about a week ago. It's been closed since Hurricane Katrina. Okay? People had a lot of problems in this city during Hurricane Katrina, and this hotel opened last week. Now, when you think about the way, it's been 6 years, and it took about almost $300 million and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get this place open. So I really, really want to thank everyone for coming here today and knowing that when you walk around here, I've been walking around this place for about 6 years, and this place has been dilapidated. In the last 2 years, they put this thing together. So thank you guys that work here. I feel like this site is so nice. I feel like I would say, the envelope, please, and the Oscar goes to. I mean, it's really nice. You guys get a lot of good stuff. When I was a scholar, we didn't have stuff like this. And we also, when I was a scholar, we didn't have the internet. Thank goodness for Al Gore, right? I appreciate that. Anyway, well, what about you? You got a scholarship. Give it up. Yeah. You got a scholarship. That, a lot of people don't understand. This scholarship, it pays for stuff. I mean, really pays for stuff. And all your friends are going to be like 200 grand in debt. You're going to be like, la ta ta, ha ha, not me. Plus, I get a little money on the side. It's all good, right? Congratulations. I remember when I got that letter. I remember it, and I was like, oh, hell no, I got a scholarship. I mean, it was something to me, you know? And so now you don't have to worry about that debt. But what does that mean to you? You don't have to worry about that debt. That means when you come out, you don't have to be so concerned about the money that you're going to make. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to be a nurse, midwife, a physician, a dentist, you know, physician assistant, whatever. And by the way, physician assistants out there, I think we should change the name to physician associates. Can I get a little amen on that? All right. Because my PA, and I don't possess a PA, the PA that works with me is my associate. You know what I mean? I assist him a lot of times, all right? So it is what it is. But just remember that you have an obligation. Now, I also remember when I got that letter, I didn't think about, whoa, 8 years from now, I'm going to have to do something. Remember that, okay? Because they're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. We will hold you to your commitment. And the reason why we will hold you is because you're going to hold yourself to that commitment. You wouldn't be in this room if you didn't know that people need you. Every day, they need you. And when you go out there and do those things for the people that need you, then you will get your reward in money, in spirit, emotional, whatever. Okay, you'll have it. Now, Just a little about me before we get started. I wear bow ties, okay? I'm not a weirdo. I tie them myself. I like them. And the reason why I wear them is because as a pediatrician, as well as an ER doctor, okay, kids would always pull on my ties and it would hurt my neck. And it was just too much, pull on my ties. And then I work in the ER as well. So when I do, and I wear long ties and I would do a lot of pelvic exams and the ties would get dirty, All right, you're in New Orleans. You can get a little loose. Okay, that's a good joke. It's a good joke. That's a good joke. All right, that part's not true, actually. I've always worn bow ties, and I just think they set you apart. People remember you. So they remember you if you do something bad, but they remember if you do something good, too. And I don't wear socks. I just don't like them, okay? I worked at a store in Atlanta when I was in college at Morehouse called Socks Appeal. It sold nothing but socks, just socks. And socks till this day. I worked there for 5 years. They still chase me in my dream. No feet, just socks, just socks. And so I just don't like them. I figure I don't have to wear them, all right? And I have a lot of jobs. I have a lot of jobs. And I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to tell you what they are because I have to get them to write them down because I forget, all right? So I'm the chief medical editor of NBC here, and that's for the Gulf South area. And you said golf course? I'm on the golf course, too. I love that, all right? But for the Gulf Coast, it's pretty hard to say. And that's something that really means a lot to me. I had to work hard to get there, and I do a lot of stuff, a lot of outreach in the community with that. If you go, when this is over at 5 o'clock, or about 5:15, I'll be talking about flu shots and how everybody should get flu shots on television today, all right? I am on the Dr. Oz show once every month, sometimes once every 2 months, and most of the time once every month. And I talk about the latest health studies in America and whether you should believe them or not. Okay, I do an analysis and talk about it. It's called The Pulse. Also, I do that for the Discovery Channel show, How Stuff Works. So I help produce that show and do all their fact checking. I'm on air with them as well as Dr. Oz and have a radio show. I'm the chief medical officer for the Recovery School District for the state of Louisiana. That means almost all the schools in New Orleans. That's about 85 to 90 schools, and then all the poorly performing schools throughout the state. All right, so I'm in charge of immunizations and making sure the kids get what they need as far as their IDEA funding and special education and that kind of thing. I'm also that same chief medical officer for Dillard University, which is a small black university in New Orleans, and that's about 1,500 students. I'm professor at Tulane University, so I teach pediatrics and medical students, and I'm a pediatrician. I practice 2 days a week, and I do an ER shift every other week. Now, that's a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff. Can you do that? Yep. You sure can. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And the reason why you can do it is because now you bleed blue and gold, right? You bleed blue and gold. The National Service Corps is a part of you. And every year that you're in this thing, you're going to start feeling more and more attached to it because you've got to. Because it's your responsibility to carry this torch. I used to have a lot of hair. I don't have as much anymore, so I need somebody with a lot of hair to do it. Okay, we're getting older up here, and we need people to come behind us and do what we need them to do. All right? Now, that being said, I'll give you my life in a nutshell. My life in a nutshell. I'll read it. My life has been a conglomeration of interesting events configured within the margins of nanoseconds, millimeters, and degrees. Very small increments of luck, skill, and timing have gotten me to where I am today. If you don't show up and go the extra mile, then nothing really great is going to happen to you. Good things might, but not great things. You've got to remember that extra piece, that extra thing that other people don't want to do, you need to do it. When you're in school and you're like, you know what? Okay, what are we thinking about here? The brachial plexus. The brachial plexus. Oh, I got trunks and cords and blah, blah. Learn it. Just learn it. Because one day, what's going to happen is you're going to be somewhere in the ER, and then somebody's going to have a laceration to the axilla. And you're going to say, I don't know what his deficit's going to be. You got to learn it, dude. You got to learn it. There's no way around it, okay? You've got to do these things. You've got to do it well. There's no way around it. So, the journey of Salmon Poe. Anybody know who that guy is on the right? On your right? Yeah. His name is Poe. Now, anybody have like little kids? You see Kung Fu Panda. All right, he's a bear. I'm Dr. A Bear. That makes sense, right? Okay, you can laugh. That's okay. That's good. All right. So, Salmon Poe. What does a salmon do? A salmon swims upstream against the current. Because a lot of times in your professions, you are going to have people that don't think like you think. You're thinking about how you can keep a clinic open. You're going to be thinking about how you can serve your fellow man. They're going to be thinking about how I can make a BMW payment. That's real. Because everything you've chosen to do, everything makes money. And money kind of makes this thing go around. But you can't always be thinking about that. And we're going to go over it, okay? Now, Po is in Kung Fu Panda. And what he realized is that he didn't have a lot of confidence. He didn't have a lot of confidence. And what he realized, that people would just throw bombs at him and they would knock him down. But he realized that when he had confidence and they threw those bombs at him, he could catch those bombs. They wouldn't knock him down. And if he threw them back, it would be at twice the velocity and he could knock them down and knock 2 people down. But only when he had confidence. Only when he had confidence. So what you need to learn in these few days while you're here is that you are the best and the brightest. You need to know that you can do anything. You can reach any goal. You are confident. When you look in the mirror, don't think, oh, I'll never be able to do that. You say, if another human being has done it, then it can be done by me. That's what we need. We need people that are going to knock down those walls, because those walls are there. All right? Now, when you look at someone like a concept of Salmon Po, some of my family members call me that because I sometimes am a little bit rough. I'm kind of like a velvet brick. You know what a velvet brick is? You know, it's kind of like really soft on the outside, but it's hard as hell on the inside, you know. I'm a nice guy, but I take care of business. That's what you guys got to do. Be a very nice person. But people need to know you're taking care of business, and that's the business of the National Health Service Corps and your community. So, who is that? Is Paul Brown here? Paul? Okay, everybody look at Paul. Look back, see that guy waving? Look at his hair. This is actually a picture of Paul. No, I'm just kidding. This is me, all right? And I remember that picture so well because it lends to the cultural competency that you must have, all right? Now, that's an afro. That is a real afro. That was 1974. That's 1973, all right? And I remember it like it was yesterday. Because I was going to school, my grandmother was walking me to school, and I was kind of a small kid, and I was a big-mouthed small kid. I would fight anybody at any time, still the same way, right? So I go to this new school, and she's walking me, and it's picture day. It's picture day. And she says to me, Corey, now look, you know it's picture day. You know how long it took me to get your hair even and smooth. Don't you go to that school and mess that hair up. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's no problem, no problem. So I get to school, and I see this kid. His name is Corey Phillips, all right? I'll never forget him because he friended me on Facebook or something. I hadn't seen him since I was like 5 years old, literally. And he said to me when I walked up, yeah, you're the new boy I heard about. Now, this is 5 years old. This is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's a little bit tough, right? You're the new boy I heard about. I bet you can't even play Superman. I said, what? Superman? Dude, I am Superman. He was like, what? You can't. So I had on a jacket. I took my jacket off. I snapped the collar. I threw the jacket behind me like a cape. And I just started, whoa, you know, just flying around, knocking people down, you know. And they were like, man, that dude plays Superman. Man, he's the man. And so with that being said at that point, what happened? I started to sweat, right? A lot of humidity. Hair started to look a little funny. So here comes the cultural competency part. I'm like, oh my goodness, my grandmother told me I should not mess my hair up. I got to see what it looks like. And I looked at her, I was like, oh my goodness, it's messed up. So what did I do? All white school, you know what the lawn looks like. All white kids. And then there was this table right before you get to the guy. And what's on that table? Combs. Those little, tiny, black combs. And what did I do? I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it right. Look at that head. Look at that head. If they had an afro pick, I would have been straight. But they didn't have that. All right? Cultural competency. When you deal with people, make sure you know where they are. Make sure you understand who they are, what they're about. I don't care if you're just, you know, you're a white guy in the middle of New Orleans. Learn who Lil Wayne is, you know. It's important. You know, if you are a black guy and you're in Nashville, Tennessee in medical school, learn about some Garth Brooks and, you know, learn about that stuff. It's important, okay? Whether you're in medical school, whether you're in dental school, whatever. Learn about your community now, because those skills that you know now and learn now, those are going to translate when you get to be out of school, okay? So what do we do here? Let's look at these concepts in the early years. Enlightenment, you're learning everything. Everything's new. Everything's new. Everything. You're independent. You got to learn to be self-sufficient when you're young. Multitasking, you got to be able to learn and do, you got to be able to do different things. You know, my wife till this day, you know, if I'm on the phone in the car, right, and she answers the phone and she's in the car, she's like, can you get off the phone? I'm on the phone. She cannot do two things at one time. I mean, she can't talk on the phone and hear me talking on the phone and understand what she's saying and listen to what the other people are saying. You got to be able to learn to not do, you got to be able to multitask, okay? That's what my life was learning about. And you got to be, you know, you have to aspire. You have to have aspirations. If you are a nurse practitioner, you need to aspire to be the queen and king of nurse practitioners. I want to be the chairman of the board of the Nurse Practitioner Association. Now, if you end up, like, you know, at certain points, you say, well, you know, I thought about doing that. Now I know what that's about. I don't want to do it. That's fine. But always get to the point where you can be able to do it, all right? And you have to be inspirational. Inspire people to do things. When people walk away from you, you say, I want to do this health fair. At Meharry, when I went to college, we used to do a thing called Community Day. And every year, Community Day was a big thing. It was awesome for us. And when people didn't want to do it, I'm like, why do you not want to do this? You're going to help your community. But by the time they finished talking to me, they wanted to do it every 6 months because I inspired them. When they walked away, they're like, man, I want to help that dude. When people walk away from you, they need to feel inspired by what you are trying to do. Because if you can inspire people, then you can change the world. So the anecdotes to live by, for each one of these sections of my life, I'm going to give you some tips. The first one is appearance versus reality. All right? I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. All right? My mother was an FBI agent. She was a single mother, had 3 kids. My brother has a triple master's from MIT. My sister has a PhD from Harvard. Okay? Now, when you say, wow, that's kind of a big deal from a single mother in a little part of Baton Rouge, but we actually did okay. But I lived 2 lives, okay? I lived in the suburbs, but my grandmother lived in the hood. We owned the store in the hood, but she lived in the hood. So my grandfather said, we're not going to move out of the hood because we're taking from the hood because we own the store. But I went to an all-white private school, so I would go to that school during the day, and then I would come to the hood in the afternoon, all right? So I had to have a little swagger about myself because I didn't want to, you know, look like, oh, you don't know anything, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're just some kind of kid that goes to the suburbs and has a silver spoon in his mouth. So it taught me to really speak 2 languages. I'll give you an interesting story. We used to, there was a family that moved into the neighborhood, to the hood neighborhood, all right? And so they saw myself and my sister getting off the bus every day. And they were new, so they didn't really know anybody. So the parents invited us to their home right when we got off the bus to get something to eat. And so we went and we were like, yeah, we'll eat. And, you know, so how y'all doing? Y'all new to the neighborhood? And they said, yeah, we noticed that you guys wear the same clothes every day, so we weren't sure if you had food. We wore uniforms to school, okay? They had no idea what uniforms were. They had no idea that they had schools where you had to wear uniforms, all right? So that's the kind of neighborhood it was. But we learned to deal in that situation, and those people became the best of friends because they were really shocked when we told them, wait, we own the store down there. They were like, really? You don't know. You don't have any idea of what else is cooking in someone else's pot. Always remember that, because when you are trying to devise who you're going to be, you've got to respect everyone. Cultural competency. You've got to make sure that you understand where they're going and where they've come from. I was never in a classroom with black people until I got to college. I wasn't in a classroom with a black person, teacher or student, until I got to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. What a culture shock. I was in a classroom with all black people, all black teachers. It was interesting. And the reason why is because I had never really met a black PhD person before. So I had to really change my outlook on what I thought about. How did I think things were supposed to go? It was awesome. It was awesome. So when you look at at college is party with a purpose, right? Nobody had more fun in college than me. That's why I can't leave New Orleans now. I like to have fun. I'm a party person, right? But you had to remember that you had to do well in school. You can still have fun in your graduate schools right now, but you got to remember that you have to have a purpose. All right? Nobody wants, I don't want you coming to work for me at my clinic and all you can do is pipette. Why is that going to help me? Right? That doesn't help me. I need you to be able to talk to people. I need you to be able to find out what's wrong with them. Get to them where they are. You know? I don't care. I don't care about the other stuff. All right? So, alkyl halide is all I remember. Anybody took organic chemistry in here? How many people liked it? How many people hated it? All right. Thank you. I couldn't stand it. I still don't remember how I got out of it, and the only word I remember is alkyl halide. I don't even know what the hell that means. I don't even know what that means. And my sister-in-law was studying for the MCAT, and she was like, oh, I need some help in organic chemistry. I was like, no, you don't. Not for me. Okay, I don't know. But you're at a point now where you're getting to, I got to do this, I got to learn this, I got to understand this. You're learning that stuff for tests, but don't ever forget the human part of that. Don't ever forget that the reason why you're learning biochemistry is for enzyme. Enzymes. You got to know what enzymes do, because enzymes make a difference in your whole scavenger for superoxide radicals. Superoxide dismutase means a difference in whether you're going to have cancer or not. So those things make a difference, so it's the building blocks. It's the building blocks, because it's great when you know all this stuff, but you got to be able to relate it, okay? Now, it's really funny, Dr. Cook. Now, this guy, he was one of my teachers. He was a physiology teacher, and I didn't appreciate physiology until I got to pathology, and then I realized I couldn't learn pathology until I learned physiology. And I didn't really appreciate him in college, but he used to always say to us, and he was a big fella, and he'd say, and y'all making C's, and y'all want to be doctors. That's my worst nightmare in the world. I mess around and get in a car accident, land in the middle of Atlanta, Georgia, right in the middle of the street. And then I'll kind of wake up after I get hit and I'm bleeding, and I look up and see your ugly face as the doctor. I'd rather them take me to the morgue. That's what he used to say, all right? And so you're going to have teachers like that. You're going to have teachers that are going to really make it seem like they don't care about you, like they're trying to hurt you. They're not trying to hurt you. All they're trying to do is make you better. They're trying to make you take you to the next level, because you need to know this stuff. With the National Service Corps, some of you might go to New Orleans once you get your site. Some of you might go to Chinle, Arizona, population 800. Some of you might go to an Indian reservation. Some of you might, you never know. But you are always going to be able to call on the knowledge that you've achieved in your brain, okay? The knowledge that you have really put in that cog and that wheel in there, because you may be by yourself sometimes. Don't ever depend on tests to make diagnoses. You don't need a test. What did they do before they had tests? Just say, oh, well, I don't know, here's some medicine. No. You can't get a CT scan in Chinle, Arizona when you want one. You have to percuss the abdomen, okay? You have to percuss the abdomen, and you need to know what's going on. So it's important. Now, really quickly here, if you look at my ankles, I wear 2 bracelets, okay? 2 anklets. I put them on in 1991, and I've not taken them off. They've popped every now and then. I have to remake them, but I made them. And the reason why is because I was partying without a purpose a little bit too much when I was in college at the end, and I decided, you know what? I'm in a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Martin Luther King was in it. It's a big deal, and I was the king of it. I had the keg parties and blah, 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 So it was Friday, and we had a keg party, and I had a test on Friday at 6 o'clock for my genetics final. And I said, you know what, I can, it was a springtime. I'm going to go ahead and set up everything for the keg party, and then I'll go back and study a little bit. And what happened? You know what happened. I go set up for the keg party. Some little girl was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey, how you doing? And I just hung out the whole time. And I looked at my watch, it was 5 o'clock. Okay, this is a problem, real problem, because I realized I might have had a beer. I was like, oh, no, man, this is bad. So I go take the test. Obviously, I do poorly. And my teacher says, if you get a D in this class, you really won't be able to go to medical school. And I was like, oh man, this is bad. This is really bad. And so I was on the train. There's a train called, the train is called MARTA, and I had a Walkman on, okay? Yes. It was gold with a Jordache symbol on it. I'm just joking. Yeah. And so I was sitting down before I got on the train, and this guy came up to me, and he was like the militant guy on campus in Morehouse, and he said, you know, what's wrong, doctor? You know, you're president of the SGA and doing all this other kind of stuff. Why are you sad? I never seen you sad. I said, man, I really might have messed up, man. I wasn't paying attention, and I just let my partying get ahead of me, and I didn't do well on this test, and I may not be a doctor. And he said, what? You mean to tell me all the people, including your own ancestors, who have died so that you could even go to medical school, and you are concerned so much about a party that you got drunk before a test and didn't pass the test, and now you may not be a doctor? Are you crazy? I said, no, I didn't think about it like that. He said, you owe it to your community to do everything you have to do to get to that goal, because people are waiting on you where you came from. Just like all of you. Wherever you grew up, there are people waiting on you right now to go back. And I said, you know, it's a good point. It's a good point. So I was riding, and there was a song in my mind that said, the chains bind my feet, but they can't bind my soul, which is free to love and to choose. And I thought about that, and I said, the chains bind my feet. What can I do? So I made these bracelets and put them on to remind myself always, and every time I'm somewhere, even y'all might see me out in New Orleans tonight, and I go like this, and I see that, oh man, I gotta go. All right, I gotta go do something good, because it reminds me. So whatever you guys need to remind yourselves that you have to do the best that you need to do to take care of your family, to take care of your population, to take care of your community, do it. I don't care if you have to put a picture, if you like cars, put a picture of a Lamborghini on the wall. If that'll make you feel like, okay, when I get to where I need to be, I can buy that. Whatever you need to do, okay? Because it's not about people saying, well, why didn't you just put you're a pediatrician, you have a baby on the wall so that you could, get through it so you could take care of the babies. I knew I was going to take care of the babies, but I needed something to get me, my mind right so I could get to that point. Whatever that means to you. It's called a dream board, and take a couple of pictures. Put them on the wall, things that you aspire to. So whenever you walk into that room, you see those things, and you say, that's what I aspire to, whatever that means for you. So a constant reminder to strive and excel is what this is, and that's what I want you guys to have. Dream board, bracelets, whatever you want, all right? Now, the goals you should have met before you leave this area in your life: mastery of study skills. You got to know stuff, dude. You got to know it. There's no way around it. You got to be able to focus. You have to have laser-like focus. You have to be able to know what's important, what's not important. You have to develop career. You have to know what you have to do to be a professional, and understand that you got into your professional school now, you're there, but what are you going to do when you get out? You got to start looking at your career. Learn how to really work a room. Learn how to make some connections, because you can't just be an island in the National Service Corps, because you need your community for resources. So you've got to know how to work a room. Time management. You got to time manage all the time. Party, study, life, family. You have to be able to figure out what's important, when it's important, and to be able to balance it all so that you can have a happy life. And you got to be aggressive. No one is going to be knocking on your door. Here, I have $1 million. You want it? Publishers Clearinghouse is a scam. I don't care what anybody says. I've never known anybody that got it. But anyway, nobody's knocking the door down for you. You have to knock doors down. You do. All right? Med school years. Here are all my IDs. I trained at Metro Nashville General Hospital, the VA Hospital. I was a med student at Blancheville Army Community Hospital. I was a med student at Delta Health Center in Mound Bayou, Mississippi. I was in medical school all over, because they said, if you want to do a rotation some other place, you can. Just let us know. And I said, I'm signing up. I want to learn as much as I can about as many populations as I can, because I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I want to do. But I do know that I want to be prepared. So what do you need to defining concepts for this? Understanding. You're going to start seeing patients at this point where you are now. You have to have understanding. You have to be empathetic. You have to, once again, continue focus and persevere, because you're going to have doctors. You're going to have people that are at you all the time saying you're not going to make it. A lot of professors are very supportive, but a lot of them are saying, you know what, we're going to try to weed you out. because they really want you there, but they don't know how to be touchy-feely enough. All right? So you're going to do that, but you have to have self-reflection as well. Who are you? What does that mean when you look in the mirror? What do you stand for? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Remember that? Make sure. And consensus building. The people around you. Make sure that you're hanging around people that are positive. Make sure you're hanging around people that are doing great things. If you're from the hood and people still drinking wine on the corner, don't hang out with them anymore, because what are you going to be doing? Drinking wine on the corner. All right? I'm making an extreme one, but let's not go as far. You're in medical school, you're in dental school, and you know they have the people in medical and dental school that actually are doing well. Then they have the people that are not. All right? Hang around with people that are doing positive things. Don't hang around with people where every time the tests come back, they're like, oh, well, I guess I'll go get something to drink. No, don't hang around those people. You need to hang around people that are doing well. All right? And listen, this is for the first time in your life, you're really going to have to listen. All right? And you're in professional school. You got to listen. Because people are saying a lot of stuff to you, and most of the time you're talking just as fast as they are. You have to stop and you have to listen. So, in my life, I was so happy I got in. I was like, whoa, man, I got into school. I'm the man. And it's so funny because, I got accepted into 3 schools. I got accepted into Morehouse. I definitely didn't want to go to medical school at Morehouse. Why? Because I went to Morehouse undergrad, so I knew way too many drinking buddies, right, that were going to be right there with me. No, I don't want to go there, all right? Even though it's a great school, I was Surgeon General, went to Morehouse School of Medicine. And I didn't want to go far away from my hub, which is the South, and I got into Ohio State. So I was like, I want to go to Meharry. I want to go to Meharry. And it's the first time I ever listened to anybody in my entire life. I never really listened to people. I was more like you do what I say. If you don't like it my way, then you go some other place. But I had to realize I won't get far like that. I have to listen to people. I have to learn things, because if I don't learn what I'm supposed to learn, I won't be able to help people in real life. If you just want to get through organic chemistry and don't really want to learn it, you're not going to hurt anybody. But if you want to get through pharmacology and you don't know the drugs that you need to learn and why they work, you can really hurt somebody. So I said, you know what? I need to listen. And I did. And I never had a mentor. Because when you have a mentor, what do you have to do when you have a mentor? You have to listen. That's hard to do for some people. You have to say, whatever you say, sir, I'm going to listen to, and I'm really going to think about it. I never had that before. I had to get a mentor, and I got one. Okay? Dr. Maupin, John Maupin, is the president of Morehouse School of Medicine right now. He was president of Meharry when I was there. He asked me, Corey, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to be president of the American Medical Association. He said, okay, that's great. So how are you going to make money? The president of the American Medical Association doesn't make money? No. I was like, really? No. That's something that you do, and you just do that as your service. That's a service organization. That's just something that you do. You get your expenses paid for, but you don't make any money. I was like, really? Okay, I got to rethink this. I got to figure out what I want to do, because I want to still do that, but how do I want to be remembered? What is my legacy? What do I want people to, when I walk off this earth, I want people to say, it meant something for me to be there. So I said, I got to do some other things. I got to help some people. I don't need all the titles. I just want to help people. Then when you start helping people and do those right things, then the titles come. Because everybody wants you to be in charge of it. Because you have the right attitude. I had to set goals. Make sure you set goals, folks. Always set your goals. And I want you to set goals. 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and lifetime. And I want you to don't do it on your little BlackBerry, because I'm a BlackBerry person too, okay? Do it with a pen. Get a nice pen. And get some really nice linen paper. And put that down there. Put that pen to paper. It's magic. And write that down and put that on your refrigerator. And see those goals every day. Because when you see those things, it's reinforced for you. And do a personal assessment of yourself. Understand who you are and how you operate. Okay? And make sure you know how you work with other people more than anything else. When I'm trying to hire someone, when I'm trying to get someone to come into my professional school, when I'm trying to do all these things, grades are okay. Grades are important. I don't want you to have a 2.5. I need you to have like 3.3. I would take a 3.3 person whose letters of recommendation say the following: works well with others, shows up on time, aggressive, energetic, as opposed to a 4.0 person that says very smart. I don't need smart. You'll realize once you get out of school, there are a lot of people that got out of school that are not smart. Okay, you'll realize that. You probably sit next to some of them when you're at school, all right? It's not about being smart when you have a job, okay? It's about being there, showing up, working hard, and being smart enough. Smart enough, okay? So just know that you have to learn how to work with people. You know, if everybody in your class right now at your school thinks you're a jerk, you know who you are, okay? Then you got to change that. It can't be them if everybody thinks you're a jerk. Look in the mirror, okay? Look in the mirror. And work on your interpersonal relationship skills. Work on them. And delegate authority. You got to learn how to be a leader too. And listen to your patients. It's very important, okay? Now, the reality check here and goal setting, those things are very important. But when you look at the goals of this conference, all these things come into play. They come into play. You have to learn about program requirements. Help prepare yourself for future decisions, like getting the job or the site. You have to receive practical resources. They have things here for you, so please don't just go to the French Quarter, okay? And as an aside, it's very important. If you go out and you stab somebody while you're here, you may or may not get arrested, okay? But if you go in the French Quarter and you urinate in the streets, you will get arrested, okay? I promise you. And we don't have a lot of court on the weekend, so if you pee in the streets and then you get arrested, because we arrest people for that, even though if you walk in the French Quarter, you will think that we don't arrest people for that, then you have to stay in jail till Monday, okay? So just remember, don't pee in the streets while you're here, right? All right. But there are a lot of things. I don't want you to be out in the French Quarter. I know New Orleans is a great place, but I need you to be in this conference so that you can learn stuff, okay? Understand what you should be doing now. Find out and get a secure job later. You'll learn all that stuff. Connect with other scholars. You will learn how to write a resume. Go to all those sessions because this is a very important time, okay? And you connect with other scholars. I said that. And who are you really? Who are you really? Are you the person that's going to be the jerk of the class? Or are you going to be the person that everybody's going to be looking up to saying, you know what, that guy or that lady, she's delivering babies. She's really delivered a lot of babies, and she's a nurse midwife, and she is out there fighting the good fight and making sure that all these young ladies learn about what HPV is and learning about prenatal care. Who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? It's important. Also, be a doer, okay? Learning things is important, but I have a very interesting situation. You got to get your white coat dirty, folks. All right? I'll never forget. Well, I was in my first day of third year, so that's my clinicals. And my first day, I'm trying to be a very well-dressed gentleman, so my coat's all starched, and I walk up, and I knew everything. I knew all the stuff I needed to know, all right? Because in the second 2 years of medical school, that's when I realized, wait a minute, I like medical school. Because I'm going to learn right now in these second 2 years what I really need to know, all right? So I get there, and this doctor, he was from Jamaica, I'll never forget it, and he was like, I have a horrible Jamaican accent, so, Dr. Hebert, why don't you go over there and show me the acid-base status, of that patient. Here's the printout. I'm like, okay, so I get the paper. I look, and it's like a pH of 7.38, and, I had a PCO2 of this, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, that's mixed respiratory alkalosis, metabolic acidosis. And he said, very good, that's very, very good. And that was a hard one. And the lady was, on a vent. We were in pulmonary, so we were in the ICU. And the lady was on a vent that I read this blood gas for. And he said, wait a minute, I hear her. Do you hear her? And I said, yeah. And she was kind of choking. And she was on a vent, so he said, why don't you go over there and suction her out? So I said, okay. Now, I didn't know how to do that because there's a lot of technical things going on. I've never been in there before. So I walk over there, and I look at her, and she's gagging, and I'm like, so I start, and I'm like, you know what? I could kill this woman if I don't know what I'm doing. So I go back, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And he said, you know what? You know a lot of stuff. But he took my jacket, and he did like this. He said, but your lab coat's a little too white. It needs to get dirty. And I will never forget that because you need to be a doer. Whatever is done in your clinic, wherever you are, whatever is done in your clinical rotations, Anybody that can do it at your level, you need to be the person that can do it. Don't just learn stuff. It's just time for just learning is over. You need to be able to do stuff too. You got to be well-rounded, okay? So be a doer. Follow the road most traveled, okay? Use the career services at your school. Use them. Make sure that you talk to the people that can help you get to where you need to be. And use the search program. They have a lot of resources and a lot of places that would love to have you come as a student and figure out what's going on and see what you would like to do when you start doing your obligation. Okay, so use those services. Knowledge and trust are the most powerful tools. Okay, find a mentor. Trust your mentor. Dr. Marpin told me, I need you to do this, this, this. He said, when do you wake up in the morning? I said, about 7. He said, get up at 6. I'm like, oh, man, I didn't come to you for that, all right? He said, no, get up at 6. Whatever time you get up in the morning, wake up 1 hour earlier. Because what does that do? It gives you 7 hours a week to do something else. You want to start a health fair? Devote 7 hours a week to trying to get it together. You can do it. Wake up 1 hour early. I listened to those things. I finally listened in my life, and I did. And so when I got through, I made all A's in my rotations. I made no B. All A's, because I listened to what people told me to do, and I did it. And I didn't make all A's in the first 2 years of medical school. As a matter of fact, I kind of struggled. You know, I made a C or 2. I made mostly A's and B's, but it was tough for me. But my second 2 years, I finally listened to people. You know, and you got to remember that. Goals you should have met: find a mentor. Before you leave your school, find a mentor. You got to find one, okay? Join an auxiliary professional society. So if you're, whatever discipline you're in, ADA, AMA, whatever, get involved at the student level, because those are the organizations now that are really making changes for the policy of medicine. And those things don't affect you now, you don't think, but they will affect you when you finish. So you need to be involved. You need to be visible, okay? Embrace the 10,000 hour equation. What is that? 10,000 hour equation is, if you want to be an expert at something, okay, there's a book called Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. You should go get it. It's a very good book. You have to do 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours of that, and you will be an expert. All right? That's a lot of hours. It's a lot of hours. And take inventory of what makes you tick. Okay? It's very important. Do it by the book, but you be the author of the book. That's what I say. All right? So, residency. Man, look at that little kid. I remember that. That kid now is 5'10", 180-pound midfielder, center midfielder for his soccer team, and he'll probably be going to college on a soccer scholarship. He's at a boarding school now. He's doing great. And I just remember it like it was yesterday. So don't forget your family. Get your family involved. My son, till this day, he thinks that it's normal for people to go to a soup kitchen the morning of Thanksgiving. He thinks everybody does that. Because the morning of Thanksgiving, we go to a soup kitchen and we serve other people. He thought it was normal when every Christmas, before he got his toys, we went through the toys he had, he picked all the ones that he didn't use, and then we took those to a homeless shelter before we opened the new ones. He thinks that's normal, okay? So what are the work ethics of this? Obviously, when you're in residency, or at the beginnings of your first part, when you finish your school, stamina. A lot of hours, folks. It's a lot of hours. You can do it. You can get through it, okay? A lot of hours. Work ethic. You got to have a work ethic. You cannot be immoral in what you do. You have to have ethics, because it's easy to fudge data. You can't do that. You have to be empathetic. You start seeing patients now, and when you sign on that dotted line when you finish school, that means something. When you were in school, somebody else took the heat. Now, you take the heat. Patient-centered approaches, you got to remember this is a team. You're going to be in a multidisciplinary team. So it's a team. You have to be respectful of all disciplines. You can't do anything without the dentist. The dentist can't do anything without the nurse practitioner. We all work together, and you have to respect that. Teamwork is very important, and you have to have your confidence, because there are going to be people, you thought you didn't have a lot of confidence when you were in medical school or you're in dental school. You wait till you actually have those letters behind your name and see how many people that have those same letters try to kick you in the teeth every day. So you have to be confident in what you know, but you can't be confident unless you know it, okay? When in doubt, think. You know it. You will have known it if you follow what I'm telling you. But when in doubt, don't freak out. Just think, okay? And never worry alone. As an attending physician, if my intern is worried, I'm doubly worried, okay? So never worry alone. If you are someplace and you don't know what you're doing, call somebody else to help you, because it really can cause a lot of problems if you don't know what you're doing and you do something bad. Anecdotes to live by in this section. It's very important. If you're not first, you're last. Now, that's not really true. Did y'all ever see that movie Talladega Nights with Ricky Bobby? It's actually a funny movie, but he said his whole life, his dad always told him, Ricky, if you're not first, you're last. He lived that, so he was always trying to be first. And then when he finally got to be a man, he asked his dad, what was up with that? He said, Ricky, when I told you that, I was high. That's not true. You can be second, third, fourth, hell, even fifth, all right? It's important that you think if you're not first, you're last. But you got to remember, you're not always going to be first, all right? And don't try to just strive for being first. Just strive at being best. Strive to be best, because that's not always first, all right? And because when I applied for medical school, applied for residency, I wanted to go to Baylor College of Medicine for pediatric residency. Best one in the country, blah, 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 36 interns, blah, 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 right? And I didn't get it. They told me I was going to get it, didn't get it. Opened that piece of paper, didn't get it. I was hot, you hear me? And, but I got my second choice, which was Tulane. And I wanted to come home anyway. It was very, very important for me because I wanted to get back to a place where it was just, New Orleans was the murder capital of the world. I wanted to be here. And I got here. It was an awesome time. People say it's still the murder capital of the world. No, it was. And I got back, all right? And if I'd gone to Baylor, I would never have gotten to where I am right now because it was too big. I couldn't do the things. I was president of the resident section for the American Academy of Pediatrics when I was a resident over the entire country because it was a medium-sized program, and that works best for me. So I always pick what works best for you. And it was stressful. It was stressful because I finally had a real job. It was a real job. I mean, you know, I had never had something where I had to be there and it made a real difference. You know, I was a bartender, I was a waiter, I worked in a beauty salon, I did all kinds of stuff, and I still would love to be a bartender. I do it sometimes just for fun. But it's one of my favorite things. But this was the first time that I had to work with people in residency that I cared, and they were lazy. They didn't care. I had residents that would pick certain weekends off so it would guarantee them that they would only be on call 9 nights as opposed to 10. Things like that. They were lazy. And that was difficult for me because when I was in medical school, you know, we're paying you to teach us stuff. But when you're in residency, that's a job. So somebody's paying you to do stuff as opposed to you paying them for instruction. So it's important, okay? And I'll never forget, it was like, you know, one of the ladies got pregnant. And I heard all the guys saying, damn, she got pregnant. She's messing up the schedule, man. We should put oral contraceptives in all the water of all the ladies so nobody gets pregnant. Because it makes me have to work harder. People used to say that. That's real. All right? It's bad. And I'll never forget, here, et tu, boo-boo. One of the worst things ever. You guys remember that et tu, Brute, when, you know, and Julius Caesar, when it's, and you, Brutus? My poor son, he was 3 years old. I was towards the end of residency, and I asked him one day, you know, Joseph, boo-boo, because I call him boo-boo till this day, you know. I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, Daddy, I know what I don't want to be. What, Joseph? I don't want to be a doctor. Why? Because doctors spend more time with the kids at the hospital than they do with their own babies. Et tu, boo-boo, you know. Come on. I mean, you know, but one of the doctors that is a scholar, I'm going to have to take one of his lines because he said that, I mean, I missed a very few of Joseph's things throughout his entire life because I made family important. But it teaches my son that not everything is about him. Sometimes I had to go to the hospital to take care of a kid who didn't have a dad, who didn't have a mom. And it taught him that there are other things that go on in life besides the things you want at that time. And that's something that nothing else can teach him. I was the first ever African-American chief resident at Tulane. They haven't had one before, and they never had one since. I don't know if that meant I was good or bad. But the reality is I did it, and I said that perfection was not an option. You know, that's hard. That's a hard thing to put on yourself. Perfection is not an option. You have to be perfectionist. But just strive for that. Nobody's perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect. Just strive for it. Pass your boards. These are goals you should have met when you finish residency. Pass your boards. Study as if your life depends on it, because it does. You can't go forward, dude. Can't go forward unless you pass your boards. You got to pass them. Study for them like your life depends on it. Learn to take control of stressful situations, including your own. Including your own. Because you know this is very stressful, and you know if you snap at people all the time when you're all stressed out. Nobody wants to have you snapping at them, okay? You need to learn how to manage your stress. Get some therapy if you need it. Take your medicine. You know if you need your Prozac, take it, okay? Don't say, oh, I don't need that. Yes, you do. Take it, okay? Don't just snap on people and expect them to be okay about it, all right? You have to, and take advantage of the small group sessions here. They have interconnectivity groups, mapping the journey groups, roundtable sites. We're going to be having so many people answering questions here, so take advantage of those things, okay? Also, evaluate the 10,000 hours equation at this point. You finished residency. Did you put in your 10,000 hours? You finished your first 2 years of you being a nurse practitioner. You finished your first 2 years of being a nurse midwife. Did you actually get to the 10,000 hour mark? Because that's something you should strive for as well. You got to put your time in. There's no way around it. NHSC service. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is a long way from you guys, but I want to put it in there because if you look at me, you see that guy on the left, that's never my face. Like, man, this was my first day of service in the National Health Service Corps, and I was scared to death because it was the first time ever that I had to really do something when I had nobody to look after me. I wasn't a resident anymore. I was real. But National Service Corps made it possible for me to be standing here in front of you today. It made it possible. I was in all types of community outreach programs, and I was appointed to all kinds of positions. And I got a chance to go to Puerto Rico and play golf with some people who I just happened to meet while doing an outreach program while with the National Service Corps. It's very awesome. But I will tell you, that guy on the left there, I was mad, very mad, because I was disillusioned. Because now I'm at a point where everybody should be like me. I'm finally with my touchy-feely people. Everybody's trying to help. Not so much, okay? Determined. You got to be determined. You have to collaborate with other institutions. You can no longer be an island, especially when people's lives are depending on it and their budgets to meet. Okay, when you get to your sites, their budgets. Tenacity. You got to be tough and you got to be vocal. All right? You have to start at the top, then work your way up. Okay? You don't start midway. Start at the top, work your way up. All right? My CEO of my clinic, when I first started, she was the meanest lady I ever met in my entire life. And I promise you, and that was many years ago, and I still will see someone in this city and say, do you know such and such? And they're like, oh yeah, she's the meanest lady I ever met. I never met one person that liked her in my entire life. Never. Isn't that horrible? Anyway, I learned to get along with her and got a lot of stuff done because you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar, right? You got to get things done. And you could take that to wherever you are now. You know there are people that nobody likes, right, that are at higher levels. You have to learn how to work with them. And speak up. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that just simply means begin at one level higher. If somebody tells you no, go to the next person higher. Because everything can change with the stroke of the right person's pen, right? A person is about to be executed in the United States, and if the right person signs that thing, not only will it not be executed, he won't even have a criminal record, right? That's the way the president can pardon somebody. So you got to think about it like that. Somebody tells you no, say no, you're not the right person to talk to then if you're telling me no. Because, you think about it. Just start thinking about it when you're like when you start having problems with your Sprint phone or your Verizon phone, you call and they say no, just say, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm leaving if you don't do what I ask you to do. I need to talk to somebody higher. Higher level support. Think about it like that because you have to get out there and you have to fight when these things happen. Now, when this is the first time I encountered poor people, real poor people where I had to take care of them when I did my National Service Corps. It was really scary because I knew that was very important to the people. Every decision I made could mean the difference between somebody eating, somebody living or dying. And it's the first time I had to question what I was going to do with my life. Most of you in this room, somebody told you where to go to kindergarten, they told you where to go to grade school, they told you where to go to middle school, high school, they told you where to go to college, then you went to medical school or whatever professional school, then if you went to medical school, you went to residency or whatever. When you start doing this will be the first time in your life that you could say, I want to do something else. It's the first time when you can actually say you want to do something that's not prescribed for you. That's scary too. It was the first time in my life where I could say, now what? When I finish this, what am I going to do? Okay? So it's just one of those problems that you have to start to prepare for now. And I also have to deal with the hierarchy of administration. Okay? The hierarchy of administration is really, really tough because it's bureaucracy, you know? Bureaucracy is a challenge to be conquered with a righteous attitude, a tolerance for egos, and a bulldozer when necessary. Because sometimes people don't want to hear what you have to say, and if you know these people are not going to be able to get their, they're not going to do their health care because your administrator won't give you the money, you need to find the money. You need to make it happen, and you can do it with anything like that. The goal you should have met before you left here, be active in your professional society. You've been a member of it since you've been in school. Now, 7 years later, be active in it. Be a pillar in your community. Make sure when everybody thinks about things, about health, they're calling you. They're calling you. I don't care what you do. They need to be calling you because you're the person that has boots on the ground taking care of the people every day. And be prepared to stay put. I came to New Orleans and I'm not leaving because I love this place. People love me here because I do what I'm supposed to do to take care of them. I'm on Dr. Oz and traveling to New York, and people are like, when are you leaving? When are you moving? Nope, not moving. I'm trying to bring stuff here because people need me here, okay? So you think about that, okay? Do whatever they tell you to do. Meet all of your NHSC obligations. When you move, let them know because they'll find you, okay? You don't want them to have to find you. Just let them know, okay? Because what's going to happen is that then they get a little antsy because, you know, we need to know where you are because there are things that we can give to you throughout your time that can really help you. All right? So don't think that they're just on you because they gave you money and now they're looking for you. No. We want to help you, and I'm open to helping you, and so is everybody that you'll meet at this conference. Present and beyond, folks, that's me. You know, it's me and my wife, and we have a lot of fun now. We travel a lot. We do a lot of great things. All of those things because I did what I was supposed to do. I built my house appropriately. My house has a great foundation. The walls are good. And when you have a good foundation, your house is steady. Your house is stable. And that's where you are, building your foundation right now. All right? If you look at the bottom, this is in New Orleans, this is when you know that you've made it. When you have a float with your head on it. That's me. And it was so weird. During Mardi Gras, it's a night parade, and it's Muses is the name of the parade, and it's the most popular night parade in the city of New Orleans. And I'm sitting there, and they told me, Doc, you're going to be, you just make sure you're at the parade. Make sure you're at the parade. So I'm sitting there, and when this thing starts rolling down the street, dude, I started crying because I knew I'm a New Orleanian now for real, right? Half the people thought it was President Obama, so... But it was okay because it was named Dr. Know-It-All because I tend to come off like a know-it-all, but I'm not, all right? I'm not. I listen now. I listen, all right? So you have to be entrepreneurial now, folks. I want to look at my time. Oh, we got time. Entrepreneurial, okay? When you finished all these other things, you got to think about what else can you bring to a community? What businesses can you start? You have to continue to be inspirational. Be mildly impatient. When people are kind of lollygagging, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's make it happen. Come on, come on. Don't tell me no. Let's go. All right? Be a perfectionist as much as you can. Don't make yourself, don't get an ulcer. Just do what you need to do. But be peaceful. Be peaceful. Because when I go to sleep every night, I'm not worried about anything. I'm just worried about the fact that it's cold in here. Or I need to go turn down the thermostat. I'm not worried about anything. I try to tell young kids all the time, especially young black males, I've been very successful in life. But I can go to sleep at night. If you want to go deal drugs, you know what? You can make a lot of money, but when you sleep at night, you're not very peaceful. So it's not about the money. It's about being peaceful at night when you lay down, okay? And it's also when I wake up in the morning, I feel energetic. And when I'm here taking care of things that the National Service Corps has given me my duties to do, it energizes me. When I see you, it energizes me. And I hope I'm energizing you because when you go back, you're going to be a different person, okay? Family first. Your family is not necessarily going to always understand what's going on, but at this point in your life, you got to start feeling like, I make sure I got to put my family first. Because when you're aging, you know who's going to be there for you, your family. So always try to maintain those great family relationships. And personal assistants need apply. I have 3 personal assistants because I do a lot of stuff, all right? I didn't have them before, when I had to really turn the screw down and do some things. But now, I have to have them because I have a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. And stop trying to make money at this point. You know, when you are doing the things that you do, if you do the right thing, the money will come, okay? You want to be able to provide for your family. You don't need to be like the Wall Street guys that steal people money. They steal the money for a living, right? You just want to make enough money and do the things that you need to do. But if you do what you're supposed to do, the money will come, all right? Do your job so well that no one living, no one dead, and no one yet to be born will ever do it better. Think about that. Do your job so well that no one living, no one dead, no one yet to be born will ever be a better nurse practitioner than you. Live with that mantra, okay? Get that brass ring because that's what you deserve. And you started the Occupy movement, folks. You started it. You made sure that you have occupied that seat in your professional school so that you can go and help someone that really needs it, okay? So really don't ever think that you're not supposed to be there. And I want you to chart your own course, all right? Don't do what a lot of people just tell you to do all the time. Chart your own course. When you get to a level of age like I am, I have to be a visionary. I have to be a visionary. I just accepted the position of CEO of Black Health Television. It's a startup company. And I'm trying to be a visionary so that a legacy can be left. And stop and smell the roses. Give your money to charities, but more important, give your time to charities. When you're at your level now, always volunteer. And when you get to your level, when you've finished all your training, always give back. Write those checks and give that time because it's invaluable. Establish a foundation. If you happen to invent something that no nurse practitioner has ever done in her entire life, and you invent it and you make $1 trillion, establish a foundation and give back to your institutions, the institutions that are making it possible for you to get your degree right now. There'll be people behind you, and you have to do what you need to do, always. Now, I don't know what to expect. I don't know where my life will take me, but it's been a great ride. I ride motorcycles, and this was not a staged picture. These two bikers, I was at this little pit stop or whatever, and these two bikers came up to me and they said, "Hey, little fella, we like that motorcycle. Can we have it?" And right when they said that, they snapped the picture. I was like, oh no, these dudes are going to take my motorcycle. But it's been a great ride. I loved it. I had a great time. And all roads lead to one place. When I was 19, and I was in 1992, I said, you know what? I got this scholarship. I don't know where it's going to take me. And somebody mentioned to me, you know, you'll be on the right road. And I thought about it, and I said, you know, all roads lead to one place, the place that was meant for you when you started on your journey. And you know what that is? Right here. You were meant to be here. It's by no coincidence. You've been given that Adonis DNA, okay? You've been given the mindset to help others at all costs. And when you have that, your road is very, very narrow. And it led you right here to New Orleans for this conference. So I want you to take advantage of all of that. I want you to make sure that you go to all the conferences, go all the workshops, and I want you to remember one thing, okay? Don't urinate in the streets, all right? Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.